Welcome in. It is a live edition, instant reaction, Cubs Brewers Game 1 NLDS. Mitch Widmeyer, Jason Ross with you, hopping on as the game is in the bottom of the eighth inning. The Brewers lead 9-3. Jason, we thought we'd rip the Band-Aid off a little bit early. This one's definitely cooked
Yeah,
as the Cubs
been
are going to
cooked.
fall in Game 1. So there was really no point to wait on a Saturday afternoon where I'm sure people are out and about anyways. I'm sure many
Yeah.
Cubs fans probably flipped this one off a little early. Can't blame them for doing so. As we kind of get into apple picking season 2, right? October, everyone has a lot of things on the agenda, I'm sure, for a Saturday afternoon. But we did want to hop on, obviously, and recap what was a pretty big disaster for the Cubs.
Yeah, that one sucked.
Yeah, the good side of things is it's just one. It's a best of 5. The Brewers could have won this by 20 runs, and it still only counts as one win. So the Cubs have time to regroup. They'll get to reset tomorrow with the off day, and then Game 2 Monday, assuming it could be another opener with Kittredge and then Shota, similar to what the Cubs did against the Padres. But want to focus in on this one. Let me ask you this, Jason, to start with, because hindsight for me was not 2020. I talked with some buddies about this when the announcement was made that Matthew Boyd was going to be the Game 1 starter. And so I'm just curious from your vantage point, was there data that you saw on your end that supported the decision to start Boyd Game 1? Because a lot of the data I saw would be like blinking red lights to say, probably don't do this, but they did it anyways. I know they were up against it with what other options do you potentially have? Javier Assad didn't make the roster, but it was an option before they announced it. You maybe could have gone Colin Ray. And again, this is not a hindsight 2020 thing, because when I saw it was going to be Matthew Boyd, I started digging into some of the data, and a lot of it was like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to work out.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where you look at everything, and I don't think there was a good choice. Like, you go Matthew Boyd, who threw 58 pitches on short rest, but then every starter the rest of the way is on normal rest, right? So the Cubs get normal rest the rest of the way. Do you go Colin Ray? If you look at Colin Ray's data against the Brewers this year, and I don't love to live in small sample size world, but 9 2/3 innings, gave up 6 runs, gave up 6 walks, struck out 6 in those innings, wasn't particularly strong. Javier Assad does have good numbers against the Brewers, but he has a 15% strikeout rate and a 4.69 xFIP. That's not a playoff starter, baby. I can't let him start a game. So then what are you doing? Like, what's the answer? Is it Aaron Savale, who pitched 4 1/3 innings of really good baseball when they were down by 8? Is it like, what's the answer? Because I think the Cubs are kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. And I know the first thing he's going to say is, well, that's a roster construction issue on Jed Hoyer. But, if you look back 2 weeks ago, they had a starter for this game, whether it was going to be Jamison Tyone, who started Game 3 against the Padres, or it would have been Cade Horton. You could have picked your favorite one, but it wouldn't have been Matthew Boyd on 3 days. But then somebody fractured his rib in a fluke accident. Like, it's whatever you want to complain about right here. The Cubs were just in a place that wasn't a very good space, no matter how you slice it up. They were just in a really bad place. Boyd got rocked today, but for all we know, in alternate universe, Javier Assad got rocked himself, and Colin Ray also got rocked. So you just kind of at the mercy of whatever. The easiest way that we can do this right now is live in the world where Matthew Boyd was the problem and everything else is perfect. But it kind of brings me back to this, like, there's this old Family Guy skit where Peter has the option of getting like a yacht or a mystery box.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, says, the box could be anything. It could be a boat. I think that's always like my first thought when anytime a manager makes a decision that just doesn't work out is, the mystery box could be anything, but it also could just be a boat. Like the Javier Assad hypothetical start, 15% strikeout rate, 5.69 xFIP, could have gone just as bad as the Matthew Boyd start. The Colin Ray start, 9 2/3 innings, not 6 runs, 6 strikeouts, 6 walks in his time against the Brewers, could have gone the same way that the Matthew Boyd start would have gone. So, on one hand, it looks like the wrong decision, but we've only seen one of the 3 alternate universes today. So I think it's easy to say that it's Council's fault. I think the real answer is that circumstance, and I don't think there was a good answer. And the Cubs chose what they thought was the best of the best answers that they had. The positives is that Savale 8 innings. So he ate a lot of those innings. You're going to have Matthew Boyd on full rest in Game 4, which hopefully is going to be a better result than this one. That one will again be in Wrigley, so it'll be in a more favorable place for him. So it's not going to be in Milwaukee that time, and I guess we just kind of go from there on that. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's kind of like where I thought about it, because my first thought was, I don't know, and then I kind of put it all together, and I don't have a good answer to what would have been the right choice.
Yeah, there wasn't a, star-spangled, awesome, choice to make there for Craig Counsell. Like, there wasn't a very obvious option. I get everything you're saying about Assad, and if you would have went with Colin Ray, it's just a lot of the numbers for Boyd, and I didn't even mention any of them. I'll tell you one I don't care about, Jason, and I'll tell you why. I had a couple people text me, and they're like, they start Boyd in Game 1. He's given up 9 runs in 10 1/3 this year against Milwaukee. Well, Matthew Boyd is pitching in this series regardless. So I don't care how he's looked against Milwaukee this year, because Matthew Boyd is pitching in this series, whether it's on short rest like it was today, or whether you wait and you throw him out there for Game 2, he's pitching. So I get the numbers on how he's looked against the Brewers, but I also am like, well, he's going to be out there at some point in time. The numbers I do care about is on 3 days rest in his career, 0-6 with a 5.53 ERA, not great. And I do go back to I know we talked about it on a podcast. Sorry, I'm watching PCA's pissed about a strike call that was way outside. We talked about Boyd's September, and it was a rough September, and how a lot of the data said, he was still pumping it like he normally was and things of that nature. But the most innings he's pitched in a season since 2018, the ERA in September was rough. I believe the hard hit contact was up from obviously previous months this year. And so to decide to go to him on 3 days rest, I felt in a sense it was almost unfair to Boyd. Like when they made the decision, I did not have high expectations. I actually lowered my bar, Jason, to can he give you 3 innings today of quality baseball instead of 4 or 5, just knowing everything that was kind of stacked against him. So I know hindsight's 2020. This was a decision that when it was announced, I was like, I don't feel great about it. Although I was wrong in that I didn't think it'd be this bad. And obviously there was an error by Nico Hoerner. I am not going to bury Nico Hoerner, who's had an incredible glove all year, for making an error in the first inning of this game. Nico Hoerner's been awesome. It was just, there was no perfect solution. There was no perfect option, and they end up going with Boyd, and it obviously backfired. And then the Cubs, if you want to say Craig Counsell, that's fine. They opt to go with Soroka. Boyd didn't make it out of the first inning. It was rough for him too. And by the time Savali came in, Jason, I thought I read someone, I don't know if it was you, it might have been, I don't know, someone in the Slack channel put Savali might end up throwing 150 pitches just to get through the rest of these innings. And he was what you deem the designated loser, which is not an insult to call someone that. Savali really in a spot, critical spot where can you chew up innings for us where we don't have to keep burning arms in a game that looks pretty bleak. Like, we're not putting you in with the expectation that, hey, we think we're going to come back and win this. We're putting you in because we think you can chew up some innings without us having to go through 3, 4, 5 more arms. And Savali, I thought, did his job. Did what had to have been asked of him.
He did great. And it's a little different with the amount of off days that the series kind of presents to the Cubs and the Brewers. But the one positive that you can come out of this loss, and we'll talk maybe some offensive positives. They hit a couple home runs here in a minute too, but pitching wise is that, I still think they probably came in with a little bit of a tired bullpen. Even guys like Andrew Kittredge had thrown 3 days in a row. He had an off day, but that's still, you probably don't want him going 4 games in 5 days. It's probably not perfect. Palencia threw over 3 innings in that series. He's probably a little bit tired. So not only do you get the off day yesterday, but for much of the bullpen that you really care about, they got an off day today. They're going to get an off day tomorrow. We can kind of come back on Monday. You've got a full rested bullpen, and and you can go from there. You can basically use your bullpen however the hell you want to on Monday because you're off again on Tuesday. So Monday is this like perfect presentation of the Cubs being able to go do basically whatever. Now, the flip side is they're a game down. So I don't want to make it seem like it's all roses. And this is what the plan was. The plan was essentially to, get their ass kicked and then and then come out here and save the bullpen. I don't think that was the plan at all. But as we kind of reevaluate, as easy as it is to sit here and doom and gloom every moment of this game, and listen, I can doom and gloom a lot, and I doom and gloomed myself just fine. I've been having a brutal sports day as I had to watch Kentucky get absolutely boat raced by Georgia on the road, and then I watched the Cubs start off with an awesome home run, felt real good, and then get boat raced in this game too. So it has been 5 high octane hours of my teams getting absolutely destroyed. Just to put it this way, I have a good friend of mine who's also a Kentucky fan, and we have a group chat of all of us, and he texted and he just said, I guess the game's not going so well. I haven't heard anybody talk about it in here. And then I said, which game? Is it my favorite team who's losing by $1 billion or my other favorite team who's losing by $1 billion? That's just kind of how my day's been. But to find some positives out of it, bullpen's going to be nice and rested. They hit some home runs today. You have to assume that the Brewers aren't going to be this good all the time. Matthew Boyd kind of made that into a reality. He threw center cut pitch after center cut pitch, and you get destroyed on things like that.
3 loud doubles to start. Loud doubles, back to back to back.
If you look at their position on the StatCast track, I mean, they were right down the middle. And you just can't do that. So if I guess the positives on the back end is that you come back and you do this again Monday, you let this one go. It's one game. It's not insane to lose game 1 and then win a 5-game series. This isn't like the 3-game series where no team up until the Yankees had ever lost game 1 and then came back to win games 2 and 3. This isn't that. This is a 5-game set. Teams lose game 1 and come back and win all the time. Dansby Swanson, when he was on the Braves that won the World Series, they lost game 1 of the NLDS, and then they won the next 3 games against the Milwaukee Brewers. So it's not like the Brewers are immune to this. Season's not over is basically what I'm trying to say. So bummer day. I've had a rough one. And I will be pouring myself a bourbon directly after this live stream. 100%
well deserved,
because it's been a rough one today, and hopefully this is not a sign of things to come.
Northside Baseball Podcast Instant Reaction. Cubs trailing the Brewers 9-3, 2 outs, top 9. They'll go down 1-0 in the series. Off day Sunday, back at it Monday. Would assume Shota Imanaga is the starter, or I guess comes in the second inning after an opener, which could be Kittredge. You brought up a really, really good point. If we're trying to do a little bit of glass half full, which I think is important, Ballesteros just grounded out to first. So the Cubs lose game 1, 9-3 is the final score in Milwaukee. You didn't use Kittredge. You didn't use Palencia. You didn't use Brad Keller. Now they get another day off on Sunday. So those are pretty much your 3 top arms. You didn't use Thielbar, another top arm in the bullpen.
Yep.
So tip of the cap to Savali and Ben Brown, who I thought gave him a couple good innings too when they needed it on the back.
Real good innings. Yeah, He had real good innings. Second most whiffs on the day of any pitcher. So credit to Ben Brown on that one.
I know a lot of Cubs fans have been really, really, really hard on Ben Brown throughout the year. I still like his stuff as a young arm. I think it was pretty cool that he made the roster in the first place and then gets out there game 1 when they need him to chew a couple innings up, and he, like Savali, just did his job, did what was asked, did what was needed. As I mentioned, Northside Baseball Podcast now an instant reaction to the final of game 1 as the Cubs lose 9-3 to Milwaukee. Mitch Whitmire, Jason Ross with you. The Cubs dialed up the long ball. You know what's weird is what if I told you going into this one, Jason, the Cubs would out-homer Milwaukee 3-0 in game 1. You'd probably think, oh, wow, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. Well, that's what happened. Yeah. They still lost 9-3. But you get home runs from Michael Busch, Nico Horner, Ian Happ hits a home run as well for the Cubs. Another thing that you can try to pull out of this is some of those good at-bats. Maybe they can carry that over throughout this series instead of being in a rut. So the Cubs did have 3 home runs, and I don't know, man. I don't know the numbers, obviously, in front of me, but in a playoff game where everything's condensed and matchups rule all, and there can be quick hooks on starting pitchers. If you out homer a team 3-0, you're winning that game a lot of the time. It's just that's what happened today with the Cubs out homer in Milwaukee 3-0. They just didn't win the game, but still some good at bats in what was an otherwise miserable experience for the viewers. And I don't blame you for yawning either, you know?
Oh no, God, it's been a long day. It's been awful. Yeah, I think if you would have told me at the beginning of the day the Cubs hit 3 home runs, I would have probably put money that the Cubs won the game. That would have that I would have thought that maybe 5 runs would have done it today. And if they hit 3 home runs, you're assuming they probably scratch across 2 others. Even just guys on base in those 3 home runs. But obviously it didn't work out that way. The telling stat to me is, the Brewers had a 368 expected batting average. That's
holy crap.
They smoked the baseball today. They hit so many hard baseballs. The Cubs had a 164. So, they did hit the ball far when they did, but they didn't really do a lot in between those things. Hopefully Monday comes back. It's a little bit different. Freddie Peralta is not going to be on the mound, regardless who's on the mound for the Brewers. I don't know if they've officially announced that one yet. But
would assume it's Quinn Priester.
Priester, probably.
Woodruff's out. Mizorowski is going to come out of the bullpen.
It almost and Quintana. So I would guess probably
it almost has to be Quinn Priester. You would assume.
Yeah, and Priester is not Freddie Peralta. He's been much better with the Brewers this year than he has been in the past with the Pirates. But
I feel like they win all his starts, even if he's not great. It's weird.
Yeah, he had a really good season, 13-3 record with a 3.72 ERA. If you're into those kinds of things, he's a heavy sinker pitcher, so he throws a lot of sinkers. Should be a good day for a lot of lefties. Get as many lefties in the lineup as possible. I would not be surprised to see Willie Castro get the start at third base.
Okay.
This is just me playing it out. But usually, so I don't know the numbers here. I'm going to look them up as I go, just to confirm in my brain what I'm going to assume. Quinn Priester throws a lot of sinkers and a lot of sliders, which means if I go into his splits, I'm expecting exactly what I found, major righty-lefty splits. So you've got a lefty. Lefties are hitting him at a 324 WOBA compared to 297 right-handed. And if you look at the xFIP, it's 428 to 343. So you're looking at almost a run up on the xFIP. You've got Shota Imanaga, who's likely to pitch the bulk of your innings on Monday. High fly ball pitcher. Matt Shaw has not been doing much in the lineup lately. You leave him in there for his glove, right? The reason that Matt Shaw's in the lineup is because his glove is good right now. And, we can look at his at-bats again today, and they are, once again, not super awesome, right? We had couple walks in there, but a weak ground out and a weak fly out. So he's not doing a lot with the bat right now. Willie Castro hits left-handed. Not a great fielder, but if you're going to have somebody hits ball in the air anyways, might as well put in the lefty. So I'll go out there and say I wouldn't be surprised to see the starting lineup have Willie Castro in at third base to get as many lefties in the lineup as possible. And yeah, I mean, Priester is a good pitcher, but he's not an unbelievable pitcher. He's somebody who clearly he's going to be a bit of an xFIP beater because he throws so many ground balls, 56.1% ground balls. So this is going to be a high ground ball guy. But I think you can get to him. I don't think he's so good. He doesn't strike out a lot of people. He's not like super high velocity kind of a guy. So you kind of hope that the Cubs can go get him here. You're going to see those high fastballs like you did with Dylan Cease or Nick Pivetta. They're going to have to come into the zone a little bit more. So go lefty strong and see what you can do against them. So that's kind of my guess, at least on like a preview to game 2. My prediction is Willie Castro draws in.
One other very, very, very big note to follow along with coming out of game 1 and filtering into game 2, the Jackson Churio injury. He had a hamstring injury this year, and he missed a lot of time. And it was confirmed by Pat Murphy in that little dugout interview in between innings. It was the same hamstring that caused him to leave the game in the second inning. A little fun fact for him, for Brewers fans that I saw. via MLB. First player in MLB history with 3 hits in the first 2 innings of a postseason game. Like, that just puts a little bit of light onto how important he is to that lineup as a spark plug. He's a big time spark plug for that lineup. And if they're missing him for this series or any period of time, that's a big missing bat out of that lineup for Milwaukee. And like I said, Murph said it was the same hamstring that he tweaked earlier this year that caused him to end up on the shelf for quite a while. So I don't know how to quantify it, but I mean, as well as I do, as well as everyone else does, what it would mean if the Brewers didn't have Jackson Chourio.
Let's quantify it for Monday alone. So Monday, Shota Imanaga is going to pitch. Jackson Chourio has a 168 WRC plus against lefties. He has a 92 WRC plus against righties. There's your quantifiable right there.
Yeah.
That is like world beater at hitting lefties and 8% worse at hitting righties. So you take that out of the lineup. I mean, listen, I don't know if he's going to be in there or not. I don't know if it was a precautionary thing, like, oh, I felt it just a little bit, we're going to be safe, we're up by $1 billion, or it's a legitimate concern that the Brewers are going to have. If he's out of the lineup, that takes away probably their best righty against lefties that you're going to find out there. He's really good, and that's I will say this: I'm never happy about seeing anybody injured from another team. I never want to beat another team because they got one of their players injured. Regardless, if he's going to play or not play, if he's not going to play, that does help the Cubs. So if you want to roll the dice and everything like that, you want to say, where are the odds when I roll them? They're going to be a little bit more in your favor than they were if Chourio started against Imanaga. That doesn't mean that they're going to win. That doesn't mean that his replacement won't hit 3 home runs. Who knows? Baseball's weird. But you, on paper, take out one of their best right-handed hitters against lefties from the lineup, and you're going to have to replace him with somebody else. And that can probably only help the Chicago Cubs as they move forward.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, like, neither you or I think I can speak for you in this respect. We have never on the podcast played the game of, well, the Brewers are missing this guy, but the Cubs are missing Cade Horton. It's like, we get it.
Yeah.
Because I know there's Cub fans. I've already seen it on social media. Brewer fans are like, holy crap, if Chourio's out, this is bad. And I saw so many responses like, well, we don't have Cade Horton. The Cubs don't have Cade Horton. It's like, we know. Both are massive. We're just zoning in on the Chourio one because it just happened in game 1. And now we're talking about the Cubs knew when they finalized their roster, Cade Horton's not going to be part of the NLDS. The Brewers are obviously expecting Chourio to be a part of this series and a big part of it. And he was off to a 3-for-3 start in 2 innings. And so we're just saying if they lost him, that would be obviously massive for the Brewers.
It's going to be massive. Any injury for any team is a big deal in the postseason because if they're on your roster, you decided that they were one of your 26 best options, right? It's one of your 26 best options. So if you lose your 8th best option, you have to replace them with your 27th best option. That always helps the other team. So there's who knows how equal it is with Cade Horton or whatever. What I do know is that the Brewers, if they lose Chourio, that's going to hurt. And I don't want to beat a team because the guy gets hurt, but I can't make him healthy. And all I can do is look at it from an aspect of if he's in the lineup and if he's not. And if he's not in the lineup, that's going to give the Cubs some aid, regardless of how we feel about it or anything like that. So if he's not in the lineup on Monday, that's only going to help the Cubs. For Chourio's sake and the Brewers' sake, I hope he's healthy because I don't like the excuse game at the end of the series. If the Cubs come back and they win games 2, 3, and 4, and Chourio's not in there, the Cubs didn't win because Chourio was out. Just like if the Brewers sweep the Cubs, they didn't sweep them because Cade Horton didn't play. There's a lot of things that go into it, and one player can help, it can hurt, but it's not an excuse either. So I would always rather play a team at as healthy as they can. I don't like the excuse game. So I would always rather beat the Brewers fully healthy, but if he's not going to be in the lineup, that's only going to, shift a little bit towards the Cubs' way, no matter how much that shift is. If it's a shift enough for them to win the series, I don't know. Good thing to remember, though, and through all the doom and gloom again, the Cubs played a 5-game set at Wrigley Field in August, and they lost game 1 7-0. They lost the first game 7-0. Then they won the next 3. That was at Wrigley. That was regular season. That was a different beast than this. But if you're worried that the series is over because the Cubs lost game 1, literally the last time these two teams played, the Cubs lost game 1 and then won 3 in a row. We'll see how games 2, 3, and 4 look this time. They're going to look different. It's a different beast, but it's as much as you can like sulk in it today. I will be sulking in it by myself shortly. But while I'm on air and I talk on this, I try to take the sulkiness out of like who I can be as a fan and try to look at it from a more nuanced, balanced position. And when I look at it from a balanced position, I remember teams have lost game 1. This is not the end of the world. And I think if it was opposite, right? If the Cubs won 9-3, I think a lot of Cubs fans would have the feeling of we scored 9 runs in the first 2 innings. We didn't score again the rest of the game. We saw Aaron Savale and couldn't do anything about him. Did we waste all of our hits in the first game? I think these would be all the things that we would be reading on Reddit, on Twitter, on X, on Blue Sky, whatever social media you want, on our forums over at Northside Baseball. We'd be reading those things. And I think it's important to remember the opposite end of that is that, it works both ways. If you would have felt that way had the Cubs won this exact way, you should feel that way about the Brewers. And if you would have felt like, if you feel like the Brewers are going to destroy the series and there's no chance back, if we score 9 runs on Monday, you should probably have the same feeling. And I don't feel like either of those are necessarily the right one. Baseball games are baseball games. Today does not inform tomorrow. And we come back tomorrow or on Monday and we just play a new one.
Ori says, lose the battle, win the war. That is the goal.
Yes,
we
Ori,
lost the battle. It's not the goal from the outside.
Yeah.
The goal now. It's the goal now. Lose the battle, win the war. Good way to put it. Northside Baseball Podcast, Mitch Whitmire, Jason Ross. Cubs lose 9-3 to the Brewers. Game 1 of the NLDS. Game 2 slated for Monday night. Just a couple more things. I don't think we need to be overly long-winded with this one. Again, given how the game unfolded, the fact that it's late afternoon, early evening on a Saturday, and people are out and about, and they'll probably go back and rewatch much of this instead of a lot of the live viewership we had right away after a couple of those Padres games. But there's a couple more things, Jason, I wanted to hit on briefly. Fastball Freddie Peralta. I mean, I know the Brewers are a rival, and I'm not going to sit here with pom-poms and cheer for Freddie Peralta or the Cardinals.
Really damn good.
He's fun to watch too, man. Like that fastball is lively. He pitches with an aura, with an energy about him, and I think he is one of, I'm not going to say I think, I believe he is one of the most underrated starting pitchers in the National League. Like he, from a national perspective, I don't think gets his flowers nearly enough as he should. He just put together an incredible season. And outside of Milwaukee, and I would say this, outside of, fans of the NL Central, like Reds fans, Pirates fans, Cubs fans who recognize it, not much talked about with the year that Freddie Peralta had. He was brilliant.
Oh, he was fantastic. It's really hard to say, how good he's been. I'm just kind of pulling it up on in total. Like I was just curious, since 2003, the last 3 years, when you're looking at pitchers in the league and where they rank, how good Freddie Peralta's been. He's been the 23rd best pitcher according to FWAR in the last 3 years, and we probably don't talk about that enough. Just how good he is, and he is somebody who it feels like he consistently shows up. He consistently harasses people. He is just a really, really good pitcher, and he was great today. He's electric. He's fun. I hate that he's in the division. The sad part is that there's the every time I turn around, it seems like there's like some of the better players in the league who are just coming up through the NL Central. You got Jackson Chourio with the Brewers, who we obviously saw earlier today. The Pirates have Paul Skeens. If you're not a prospect geek like I am, know the name Connor Griffin. That's the number 1 prospect, in the division easily right now. He's a star shortstop that the Pirates picked a couple years ago. Ellie De La Cruz. There's just some really electric players in the division. Freddie Peralta always feels like he's behind somebody on the Brewers. It was Corbin Burns, it was Brandon Woodruff, and then Freddie was there. And even though there's not another starting pitcher there, I still feel like the shadow of Brandon Woodruff still kind of like looms.
Mizorowski got a lot when he was brought up.
It just feels like there's always somebody who's getting the hype that Peralta probably should be getting more of, and he's not. So
like Mizorowski was an all-star this year.
Yeah,
after like 3 starts or 4 starts or whatever it was.
Absolutely insane.
And it's
looking
like,
back on that.
Brewers fans recognize it though. They do. Like it's a smart fan base. But
Oh
the
yeah,
national perspective was like, oh my gosh, Mizorowski, this pitcher on the Brewers, and a lot of Brewer fans were like, fastball Freddie's pretty damn good.
yeah, he's
So,
damn good.
yeah, he had a good start, kind of, which was expected. I will say this though, when Michael Busch hit that leadoff homer, I could not help it, Jason. I could not help it. It creeped into my mind a little bit, like, oh my gosh, are the Cubs going to rock Freddie? Like, it just entered my mind for a quick second, a quick little blip on the radar, where I was like, are the Cubs going to get to Freddie Peralta today after a leadoff homer by Michael Busch? And it didn't end up turning out that way, but the top of the first inning was pretty fun. I mean,
yeah,
that leadoff
second
homer,
pitch,
I was like,
the second pitch of the game
was
the second pitch of the game was really cool. I really liked that.
After that, it's just a tailspin for the Cubs. Last thing we'll do, if that's all right with you, you already kind of did it though. Looking ahead to game 2, I don't know if either managers had their post-game presser yet. We hopped on Bob of the 8th inning when this one was well out of reach, but we're guessing, we're taking an educated guess that it will be Shota Imanaga potentially after an opener for the Cubs on Monday, and then Quinn Priester for the Brewers. I guess I can just have you fill in the blank. Like, the Cubs win game 2 if what, Jason? If you had to fill in the blank, is it if Shota gives you 4 or 5 innings, if the offense pounces, or like, obviously there's a lot of potential options and answers for it, but what do you think is the number one thing for the Cubs? Like, they win game 2 on Monday if this happens.
The lefties hit Priester.
Okay, I like
that's
that.
That's it. If the Cubs lefties, and that's Michael Busch, that's PCA, that's Ian Happ, and I know that's kind of, I guess that's cheating because I'm taking half the lineup here. But
no,
but I really think that's it. If the Cubs lefties get to Priester, who has splits that suggest lefties should hit him better, with a pitch mix that lefties should hit. If the Cubs lefties hit, they can. That's a very winnable game. If the lefties do nothing, they're gonna really struggle in that one, because Shota right now feels like he's good for a home run every game, so he's gonna give up a bomb, right? You're hoping that it's a solo shot, could be a 3-run shot. Who knows? But you probably are expecting Shota's giving up 1 to 3 runs. He's not going to blank them. So, but in the first 5 innings, the Cubs are probably going to be losing if they haven't scored 2. I think they at least have to score 2. I think it's like kind of I'll say that's the median amount of runs that I would expect to be given up by Kittredge, who, if he opens, or Imanaga, or whoever it is, Imanaga for 4 and whatever reliever for the 5th inning, I don't think he's going to go more than 4. But if the Cubs lefties are hitting Priester, they've got a few runs, and they'll give themselves a foundation to score runs later. If you want another thing to look at, I think it's important to talk about the bullpen for the Brewers. So, if we're looking team stats in terms of the Brewers, and we're talking about like straight up like FWAR in terms of like bullpens and everything like that, Milwaukee had the 6th best bullpen in baseball. So the Cubs are going up against another good bullpen. It was worth 5.7 WAR. It had a 390 xFIP, which was good for 9th. Here's the benefit. That's nowhere near the Padres bullpen. Nowhere near. The Padres pulled up over 2 more FWAR. Their xFIP is a 3.71 compared to a 3.9. They're just not as good. So if there's a benefit, is they're still going to have a really good bullpen, but it's not going to be as domineering as the Padres was. It's going to be a little bit more capable of getting to it. Trevor McGill is back, so they do have one of their better relievers who'd been out for a little while. He's back, which will kind of shorten games up a little bit more. But there's no Mason Miller in the Padres bullpen. There's probably
the Brewers bullpen,
yeah, Brewers. Sorry, there's no Adrian Morejon. These guys aren't there, so you're gonna see more of the Robert Suarez type, more of the Jeremiah Estrada type. These are good, but these guys are not elite pitchers. So if the lefties can score runs and give the Cubs a foundation, I think the Cubs can tack on a run late in the game far more easily, and I would say far more, but more easily than the Padres series. So lefties hit. That's my click. What are you thinking on?
I'll just run with yours. I'll run with yours. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a lame one too, because it didn't work out today, and they did it scoring early. I think just mentally not getting in a hole If you're down 2-0 early and start to panic, thinking, oh my gosh, we can't go down 2-zip in this series and we're down early already. So I think scoring first, although again, I know they did it in game 1 and they didn't win. But
could
when
even
you're
just
down
be
1-0
could just be even holding them through 3 innings. Like just have a 0-0 score after the third. You got to be feeling a hell of a lot better than being down 9-1.
Yeah. Last thing I want to touch base on, just real quickly. Did you see the William Contreras mouthing something to Kyle Tucker after the walk? Like that dude's always got something to say. Both brothers always have.
I was just about to
say
that.
It's crazy.
They just
Dude,
they never shut up.
You're up 8. And Kyle Tucker. Look, if that was PCA, I'll say this. If that was PCA, I'd be like, PCA's personality can be a little like for other teams. Like PCA got booed today. Like Kyle Tucker didn't get booed. PCA got booed because he has a polarizing personality for rival fan bases. If PCA did that little bat flip on a walk and the crowd didn't like it or Contreras didn't like it, I'd be like, I'm not overly surprised. Kyle Tucker very much so comes off as the most nonchalant, quiet dude. If you think he was bat flipping to be like cocky or arrogant when the Cubs were getting smoked, I don't know what to tell you, but both of those Contreras brothers always have something to say.
Always have something to say. I don't get it. And maybe, sometimes the unassuming guys, they run their mouth a little bit and we just don't see it. But I can't imagine that Kyle Tucker did. He looks so, I mean, for better words, he looks aloof a lot of the times. He's just kind of there.
Are we supposed to believe Kyle Tucker got walked, did that little bat flip, and said something to Contreras? There's no chance.
Probably not.
There's no chance.
It feels like Contreras was probably amped up at home against the Cubs.
Yeah.
And just doesn't know when to shut his mouth. Which, listen, I'm here for it. You're playing the game with an energy. Yeah. I don't want to take that away from William or Wilson either, but there also comes a time when, man, you're smoking the Cubs. Just like win the game on the scoreboard. I don't know. I did see that. I went back and I watched the replay a couple times too, because I was like, maybe like Tucker did something. And I was like, nah, he just kind of took his walk. And I flipped it a little bit aggressively, I guess, like threw his bat over there a little aggressively, but that was about it. I don't get it. There does seem to be like, and for better or worse, kind of a little brother syndrome going on with Milwaukee right now. And that's no shout or no shame to any of our friends over at Brewer Fanatic or any Brewers fans out there, but it does kind of feel that aspect that the Brewers have, and I think they like to move into that. I can't wait to see how Pat Murphy underdogs this after today. You're the number 1 seed and you just smoked the Cubs 9-3. Pat Murphy always wants to act like the Brewers are the little baby team who could. But you won 96 games and you scored 9 runs in the first 2 innings, Pat.
And your ace was really good.
Yeah, you're not the underdogs right now. But the Brewers do love to play that up. So I'm sure the emotions are kind of running there for him as well. I'd love it if on Monday we just don't give him any reason to talk at all because we've got the 9.
Hope you're right. Anything else you want to wrap up with? As the Cubs lose 9-3 game 1, I'm out.
No, we've done 4 of these, and 2 of them were a lot more fun than the other 2. And I don't feel like coming on here super late on Monday after a loss. So if the Cubs can score some damn runs and put this going away and get a win, and hell, if they could win so early, we could get on and live react. We could react a little earlier than it will be in Eastern Standard Time. I'm all for that. So I need the Cubs to score some runs. And other than that, I'm going to drown out my sorrows of a terrible sports weekend, and I just cannot have a rollover to my Eagles on Sunday.
Yeah, there you go. He is Jason Ross. I'm Mitch Woodmeyer. Cubs lose game 1 of the NLDS 9-3 to the Milwaukee Brewers. This has been the Northside Baseball Podcast. Instant reaction, live reaction. We will see you Monday after game 2.